So this is our ongoing series of Unsound Chess, and I must admit that in checking with various parties, that none of my students are watching these videos, and some have watched some, but none have watched all. And so it brings up a question in my mind as to why I'm even doing this. Why not even my students watch these? You know, why? I mean, I don't really care if the rest of the world does. I hope the rest of the world does sometimes. Maybe they look at me and say, well, you were only a candidate master, and the wisdom of grandmasters is not about you. And, you know, yes, I was, and I think I could have gone a lot higher. And, you know, I'm not aware of any grandmaster that has a plus score against other grandmasters. So I want to just take a minute and reflect on why it's easier for people to find other things to do than watch these videos. The first thing is that unless you have a passion for the game means something different to you than it does to me. And by passion for the game, I mean creating art. Every time you sit down at the chessboard, you're trying to create a beautiful artistic masterpiece. And unless you're interested in doing that, I don't really see what the point of the game is. And it's not going to make you rich unless you're some of the greatest players in the world, and I don't really think it's making them rich. So I hope that what you're doing is enriching yourself through artistic expression. Chess is a form of music, math, art, all rolled into one. And it gives you the opportunity to win. And the closest thing in life to happiness that I know is winning. So that's another reason, and apparently people don't feel that way. So they instead seem to think that chess is some sort of drudgery. Um, but playing is fun. Studying chess is drudgery compared to playing. Studying problems and just studying tactics, and there are sites devoted to tactics, and whole sections of sites devoted to tactics, is like doing nothing but putting. It's like going to the most beautiful golf courses in the world, traveling the world to play at places like St. Andrews, and only ever going on a couple of greens and trying to putt. You just practice putting. Let's forget the rest of the game. You know, the reality is that chess, some of the more beautiful things happen in endings in chess and middle games and tactical combinations. But there are whole amazing games that occur, like the games of Aaron Nimzovich, that involve very few tactics. So, um, you know, that's just one small aspect of the game. It's an overwhelming aspect that allows, you know, computers to beat everybody. But and it is some of the most beautiful stuff that happens. But these things take on a life of their own, and then people can't see the forest for the trees, and they get into a game, they don't realize that these types of things are everywhere, and they're not pattern matching. They're just, in other words, they're problem solvers as opposed to chess players, when they're not using one to integrate the other into the fun of art. And then it becomes like chess is like socialized schoolwork. You know, it's like we're sitting in a classroom, and as I already said, chess teaching is nonsense, in my opinion. And chess coaching makes sense. And teaching chess is like teaching a person to ride a bicycle. You know, you can teach a person to ride the bicycle, and it happens once. You know, and after, you know, the long tutoring session, the bicycle riding happens. After that, it's all like the finer points of what you're doing with the bicycle, and that is where the coaching comes in. So it's not like an academic subject. It's more like an escape from the academic subject. It's more like riding the bicycle as opposed to learning how to ride the bicycle. So maybe people just like events. They like going to tournaments and clubs, and the socialization is what's fun for them. And the actual study of the game in order to try to win isn't as much fun. So chess does have a depressing reality about it, and we all have to look at the possibility that we've peaked as a player. You know, pressing yourself to go further and questioning your worth in terms of everybody's got a number associated with them. How come this guy is rated like 2300 and I'm only rated 2170 or something, is a very trying type of question. Like, how hard do you really want to try to find out that you've peaked? You know, it's like finding out your own IQ. I'm never going to be smarter than that number. But the reality is that Once you start going up and down in rating for a prolonged period of time, you've hit a plateau, not necessarily a peak. And breakthroughs happen from study. And if you study what your weak points are, and a good coach is able to identify that with you, you will be able to break through that plateau into the next plateau. Now, obviously, everybody is not going to end up a master, and not everybody's not going to end up a 2,900 player. However, it's perfectly possible that you're plateaued and you can go up another notch, another 100 points. So those are my takes on why these things are not being watched. And it's also kind of a test because I think it's kind of funny that I'm putting this video out there. I'm going to wait and see how long it takes somebody to really mention this to me.